Hello, we're testing audio. Can you hear me on YouTube and Microsoft Teams? Is audio and video clear? If somebody gives a thumbs up, we can start the session. On YouTube Live, if anybody is there on YouTube Live, will you please give us a confirmation? On Teams, yes, we have got confirmation, but we're a little concerned about YouTube Live. Okay, we have got confirmation on YouTube Live as well. So we are starting the session. Namaskar. Good morning, everyone. And here we are yet once again. Today is a special day because it's a 10th webinar today in this series. We have already completed 9 and this is the 10th one. So let us all take a bow for consistently conducting and attending 10 webinars in a row. Our speaker, Mr. Umesh Dhargalkar, needs a special mention who makes this subject of redevelopment so simple and interesting. Active participation by all of you is truly commendable. All this has made this series on successful redevelopment truly successful. As I said, we have completed 9 webinars and covered entire process of redevelopment as per our website, right from conception to repossession. And this concluding one is actually a sprint through the challenging journey of redevelopment. Purpose of this webinar is that those who have attended the earlier webinars, it will be sort of a revision for them. Those who have attended few but missed few must be finding some missing links. So they will find answers to those missing links. They will understand the parts they have missed. And for those uninitiated ones who have not attended any of the webinars, it will be a compact one episode sort of a thing where they will get to know the entire process. But if they want to know in detail, they'll have to visit our YouTube channel and they will have to go through all the videos. I'm sure it will be very helpful. As I mentioned last time, we have added one new feature to our website, that is summary notes, which we have been talking about. And I'm sure many people have already accessed and we have got a feedback also on those. But these summary notes are available on our website under the tab Roadmap, which you can access as a quick reference. So please check it out and let us know what you feel about it and if anything more to be done on that front. Yes, success is not a matter of luck, but a product of planning, patience, and perseverance. When we say, oh, these people are so lucky, they got their reposition so fast, their building is so beautiful, it's not actually luck. It's the proper planning, patience, and their relentless work towards it, along with all the stakeholders that makes it happen. We will hear about this and much more from our speaker. But before that, I will once again go through uh, our initiatives which Technoesis has taken on this front. First of all, we have this wonderful group, Technoesis Redevelopment Help Group, and it's really a happy moment for us because we have crossed 500 mark today. We have written close to 500, but by the time this session started, we have already crossed 500 mark. So it is used for our important announcements and so on. So I request everyone to stay on the group. Then, of course, we have our YouTube channel by the same name, where we are live right now, and all our videos are available on that YouTube channel. All the videos of this series, as well as the earlier videos, which are, I'm sure, very helpful. You can visit it. Then we have email address, which we have been giving in all our communications. And of course, this wonderful webinar series, Successful Redevelopment, which we have been conducting, and is the 10th episode today. And yes, we have our comprehensive, informative website, which is the base of all these webinars. So I'll quickly go through what we have learned so far, or what we have seen so far. We started with overview, which was just an introductory session, and then we started phase wise. Now there are 5 phases, and some of the phases have multiple stages. So first one was phase one, stage one, initiating project and appointing PMC. Second was phase one, stage two, feasibility study and report. Next was phase two, stage one, tendering for redevelopment. Next, phase two, stage two, selecting a developer. Then sixth one was phase three, pre-construction phase. Phase four was divided into 2 parts, seventh and eighth webinar. Uh, Part one, part two. In part one, we saw process, and in part two, we looked at mainly the documentation part. And the last one was repossession, of course. So we started with overview of the website, covered entire process in next 8 webinars, and the 10th one is gist. Our speaker will give a gist of the entire process. Let me take a minute to introduce our speaker, Mr. Umesh Dhargalkar, of course, B.Tech Civil and M.Tech Structural from IIT Bombay, 30 years of 40 years of experience in civil and structural engineering, especially in buildings, new as well as old dilapidated. 18 years of experience in handling redevelopment projects, 15 years of experience in conducting seminars, certified training programs, webinars, and is a recipient of 2 national level awards, one as an innovator and another as a trainer in construction industry. Also recipient of CREDAI MCHI Ratna Award as Master in Redevelopment. But what sets him apart is his passion for work and his urge to impart knowledge. So over to Mr. Dhargalkar.
So, good morning and welcome to this 10th webinar in our Successful Redevelopment series. We are meeting on a Sunday, and when you have gone into your redevelopment project, even a Sunday becomes a redevelopment day. So thank you for being with us in this journey, wonderful journey of 5 months, almost, wherein we covered 9 webinars with the help of a website. Then we also developed some videos and summary notes which have been handed out to you. As you know, personally, it gives me a lot of fulfillment of accomplishing this series of 9th and this 10th webinar which we are going to have today. Now, after this webinar started, we have been receiving so many phone calls, a lot of calls for appreciation, some queries, people connecting, asking their questions, and by and large appreciating the work which we've been doing, which gives me an immense sense of satisfaction. The purpose behind developing the website and then thereafter the webinars, was mainly to put the control of a complex redevelopment projects into your hands. So you should be in a position to understand the project. you should be in a position to understand the crux of, this complex project and should be able to steer it towards successful uh, completion. And that was the main purpose. And from the response which you have got, I think that has been by and large achieved. So right now, the stage is all set. You got uh, the website www.redevelopment.info. You have those 9 uh, detailed webinars, or I would say videos now. You have those uh, summary notes which you can use as a guide, okay, or a handbook and take control of your project. Now, as Uma said, this 10th webinar is going to mean different things to different people. For those who have attended our previous webinars, those who have missed some webinars, and those who have not attended any webinars, perhaps new people here, who will see how much was, what was the gist of all those 9 webinars which were conducted, and they will be sort of motivated. That's what I believe, that to um, go to our YouTube channel and check out those videos for themselves. Um, Now this webinar is going to be a summary, okay, and a summary of those 9 webinars. So it's a challenge for me to crunch what was covered in those 9 webinars into one webinar. So 9 webinars into one. So I am perhaps getting less than 10% of the total time which we spent on the previous 9 webinars to cover the summary. But that's how a summary is, isn't it? So we understand little, and I would say, as we have called this webinar, essentials of redevelopment. So what I'll be covering here in this webinar is basically the process, because process is almost everything. Process is actually what a structured approach is. And so with that, let me put the redevelopment project in a proper perspective through these introductory slides. Redevelopment, an opportunity or a risk? Well, you both know it's an opportunity after you have faced all the risks. Okay, so understanding redevelopment, very basic, but then there is also something in this which becomes very fundamental to a redevelopment project. What is redevelopment? It essentially means demolishing an old building and constructing a new building in your own plot by utilizing the current FSI of the plot. So 2 things here. Your own plot, that's why we are doing this redevelopment. You've been staying here for the last 30, 40 years. And current FSI is definitely more than the FSI which was consumed at that point of time when the building was first constructed. So there is now a surplus FSI as compared with the earlier FSI. Okay, so this project is all about FSI. How to utilize, how to exploit the FSI to do a successful project. Now this additional FSI, that is current FSI minus the previously consumed FSI, out of that, some additional FSI is used to meet the project costs and for the profit of a developer. Because he will have to sell some flats and recover his costs and also make some profit. And the balance FSI, balance meaning out of the total additional FSI, a certain FSI goes to the developer, a certain FSI comes to the society, wherein by virtue of which the members can get additional carpet area and other benefits such as corpus, rents, and such other things, car parks, amenities, and things like that. So why redevelopment? People look at redevelopment as a project to make their house bigger and to make more money. But more fundamentally, redevelopment is all about the problems which we face in old existing buildings. Now, in old existing buildings, we need to have frequent and expensive repairs, and there's no magic date by which this will stop. In fact, the repairs or the expenses will go on increasing year after year. So there's no cutout date for that. So something needs to be done for that. Lack of essential amenities and infrastructures, not having car parks, not having lifts or something. And then growing families and Indian families typically, with our children also staying with us, needing bigger flats. Then the things which the outside, then the work from home concept, which tells us that we should have one more room for working from home. These are the more fundamental requirements for a redevelopment. This is why we should do redevelopment. But of course, it's also the easiest way to get a bigger home and better amenities and better quality of life without spending your own money. Now just imagine if you have an existing flat, if you sell it out, how much money you will get. Now when you go and go outside and try to buy a new flat, what rate you will have to pay? That too on the RERA carpet area, which is for you, something very, very a recent concept. And that too at a location which is going to be a new location to you. As against that, redevelopment gives you the easiest way to have bigger home, better amenities, and better quality of life at the same place, at the very familiar place where we've been staying for last few decades. Now, I always look at redevelopment as a challenge. It's not something which anybody would want to do. Given a choice, I don't think there is anyone who would really want to do redevelopment. वो करना पड़ता है, बिल्डिंग पुरानी हो गई इसलिए करना पड़ता है. By choice ऐसे किसी को मतलब because people know about the challenges, the complexities of redevelopment. Many redevelopment projects go bust. Many redevelopment projects become unsuccessful. Okay, and why does that happen? That is what we are going to look at now. Number one, what are the challenges of redevelopment? Number one is it concerns our homes and families. You know what? जब भी हम बाहर जाते हैं, अपने काम पे जाते हैं, शाम को घर पे आते हैं, and then घर पे इसलिए आने के बाद, then we think of kind of peace. That's what we look at. We are in our family, we are at our home, so it should be, life should be peaceful. But when redevelopment happens, that peace goes away. It is something which is essential, but something which we would have avoided if we really had any opportunity to do that. Again, it affects our families. It doesn't affect one single person. It affects the entire families and senior citizens who must have paid their life's income and saved from their life's income to buy the only home in a city like Mumbai. So that itself is psychologically is a big challenge. Okay, then it's a collective project of one large family. When I say one large family in a cooperative or society, I mean family of families. So if there are 100 flats in a building, I look at the project as a project of 100 families. And everyone knows, even within one's own family, there are differences. So when we steer the project with 100 different families together, believe me, it's going to be a big challenge. आप आपकी सोसाइटी में से एक ना कोई पिकनिक ऑर्गेनाइज करके देखिए. Then you will understand कि even for a picnic, which is something which is, जिसमें सबको मजा आता है, there also you will find challenges. So just then imagine the kind of challenges which you'll be facing for a project of this type. But it is a compulsion for a dilapidated building. Now, when your building becomes C1, well, the hell comes loose on you. Building C1A, C1A, C1A. As if your entire horoscope has gone wrong. Okay, so when a building is dilapidated, when it is declared as C1, you have absolutely no choice but to go for redevelopment. Another thing about this, another challenge about the redevelopment project is that it's a very complex project which has long duration. 5 साल का ये project है. When I say 5 years, I'm not talking about construction period of 5 years. I'm talking about a total period of 5 years, maybe minimum 2 years for from the initial part to the time when you vacate, okay, and another 3 years. This is all idealistic. That sometimes that 5 years becomes 7 years, 10 years. For some people, it has become 15 and 20 years also when the projects have failed. Then you are entering uncharted territory. ऐसी कुछ चीज आप अभी करने वाले हैं, देखने वाले हैं in the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years कि जो आप अब तक आपने experience नहीं किया. So this is something which is, a mystery. Okay. It is full of risks and awful uncertainties. The risks come from different angles. I think I've got another slide to tell you from where the risk comes. But yes, awful uncertainties. The uncertainties and the risks which are not in your hands. There are certain things which are in your hand, certain things which are not in your hand. What is in your hand? To do a project in a structured manner. That is what in your hands. Anything external to that is not in your hands. And these are the uncertainties which really make the project very challenging. It's an unstable project. Never ever think that आपने redevelopment project अच्छे से चालू किया तो वो अच्छे से चलेगा. No. It has got so much of external forces impacting on that even when you have started a project on a good foundation, unless you keep track of that, unless you keep watching on it, you will never know when it goes to failure. And such a failure can cause great anguish, hardship, and setback for those families, for you, and for everyone in the building. And I know when a project fails, I have seen that people take almost 5 years to recover from that. 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like that. So the impact is like that. Now, what could be the reasons of failure? What are the pitfalls of a redevelopment project? Lack of unity, personal agenda, egos, okay, personal financial interests, and such other things which are sometimes found in cooperative housing societies. Lack of transparencies. When we say it's a project of so many families, all the families should know what's happening. Perhaps if that doesn't happen, that can lead to a failure. Delaying decisions. Sometimes some societies operate in such a way that as if they've got all the time in the world. One thing that has to be understood for a development project is that it has to be a time-bound project. More than corpus, more than extra area, what is important is doing the project in a time-bound manner. Control time. If you are able to control time, you will get the best of benefits also. But if you with a view to get, with the intention to get high commercial benefits, if you do not pay any attention to the time, तो time भी चला जाएगा और आपके benefits भी चले जाएंगे. So you can remember this statement: control time, and you control project, and that's how you control your benefits also. Then there could be some non-cooperating members who refuse to be part of your family. Okay. So ineffective PMC. PMC who doesn't have the, this is something this project is very crucial, very tricky, very challenging. I sometimes compare it with a brain surgery, spine surgery, something like that. And when you are doing a project as complex as a redevelopment project, you need to have a PMC who has seen such projects and got all the experience, a kind of range of experience, wherein he has seen different different challenges in the project through other projects, etc. If you have an ineffective PMC, you don't get the good guidance and you land into trouble. Non-performing developer, okay, you have appointed a developer and he doesn't perform. Then changing development policies. Okay, changing development policies. So you have taken a project and then you delay the project for a few months or sometimes in a year, and the policy changes. Okay, that can also be a reason for failure. Changing market condition. Okay, so the market was booming when the project was awarded, and then there's a change in the market, and that is something which our developer is not able to handle. Scanty or poor quality documentation, and last and very important, absence of tracking or control. You have to keep tracking your project, then only you'll be able to control. So with that in preamble, I would say with that introduction, let us see, when I said how to make a project successful, okay, and how to make sure that we can sail through these pitfalls and the challenges. The answer is very simple. A disciplined approach, a structured approach. Okay. So what is a structured approach? Now, if you are talking about a project which is minimum 5 years, then anything can go wrong in those 5 years. There are many internal factors, external factors, and a lot to be done. Some certain things to be done by yourself, certain things to be done by the developer, certain things which have to come from the market, where I would say, yeah, have some relation with the market, or say approving authorities, policies, everything. So in these 5 years, when all these things are going to happen, one thing at least you can ensure from your end, that you will follow a tested roadmap and a structured approach. Now, what is that? What we call a structured approach for a development. Simply, I would say it simply means plan and decide in advance what you want to do in minute parts. Break down the entire project into small parts. If you see our website, we have broken down the project into something like 350 activities. Perhaps we can add more. The more the activities, the more finely you break it down, the better control you get. So let's see what the structure, how we get control of your project through a structural approach, and by using our website www.redevelopment.info. But before that, okay, let us understand the time frame for the redevelopment project. This slide shows you the 5 phase. Redevelopment is a phase-wise journey. Okay, so this slide shows you 5 phases. The first is inception of the project, selection of PMC. These two things take almost 2 months. We call it stage 1 of phase 1. And then there's a feasibility study, which is stage 2 of phase 1, 2 months. Now, what is shown in the bracket here, S stands for society, P for PMC. If you see down below, there's a legend there. S society, P PMC, B bidders, L legal consultant, and D is the developer. So what happens in the first phase is that the initiative is taken by S, that is society, and then the PMC comes on board. Now, since this becomes an internal exercise, the sensitivity, of course, I talked about, challenges of the redevelopment project. I said it's never stable. You have to make it stable. It's a very sensitive project, very sensitive, but it's not equally sensitive in its entire journey. There are some phases when it's very highly sensitive. There are some phases in which it is not so sensitive, but there is no phase where it is not sensitive. The lowest grade of sensitivity I would accord to any phase would is moderate. I will not say low. कोई भी phase ऐसा नहीं है low sensitivity का. The lowest is moderate. Then there can be high sensitivity, very high sensitivity, or extremely high sensitivity. Low sensitivity है ही नहीं इसमें. So the first phase I would say is of a moderate sensitivity. Because mostly what you are doing is that you are doing your internal exercise through your PMC. Second part is tendering and developer selection. Tendering meaning preparing tender document and launching can take about 3 months. And then the developer selection, 5 months. Society, PMC, and bidders. High sensitivity. Because there are some you will be taking, you see, if you take the important milestones, the very important crucial milestones in any development project, they go like this. First milestone is selection of PMC. Second milestone is selection of developer. Third milestone is development agreement. Fourth milestone is vacating, like getting idea and vacating. Fifth milestone is completion of RCC work. These are the mota milestones here. So since we are going to select a developer in the second phase, it's going to be a very important decision. And in that sense, the second phase has high sensitivity. The third phase, pre-construction, wherein you do legal documentation, planning, vacating, takes about 11 months, 11 to 12 months. So society, legal advisor, PNC, and developer, that would be the order. Extremely high sensitivity, extremely high. Then construction, 36 months, developer, PMC, and society. Now you see, developer is leading, society is last. 36 months, high sensitivity. Yeah, I would say very high sensitivity. And repossession when you come back. It appears to be 1 month, but we will see that it actually becomes 3 months. Because you have to be ready for repossession. So getting the project ready for repossession takes at least 2 more months. The actual repossession, the process of repossession may take 1 month, but getting the project ready, making it ready for repossession can take almost 2 to 3 months extra. Developer, society, and PMC. So here you add them up, you'll find about it's a totally, absolutely, even for a small to medium sized project, it's 60 months for a plot size of say a plot up to 4,000 square meter and 18. So I wanted you to understand these phases. Obviously, these phases are sequential. Phase 1 के बाद ही phase 2 आता है, phase 2 के बाद ही phase 3 आता है, phase 3 के बाद ही 4 and 5 आता है. So these are, since they are sequential, naturally planning becomes, from that point of view, from the planning challenge point of view, it becomes easier because there are not so much of interlinks between the 2-3 phases. But since the project itself is complex, do not expect the planning to be simple. But we have made that job easier for you. If you visit www.redevelopment.info, you'll find all these roadmaps, everything, the structured roadmap given to you, which you can just take and use. So what is the structured process? So this process you have to adopt right from the beginning. बाद में आके नहीं होता है, बाद में आ जाता है, but इतना तब तक का control चला जाता है. So that's why I said adopt this from the beginning, a step-by-step roadmap, time frame and milestones, which we just talked about, project review meeting, you have to meet very regularly, maybe once a month with your PMC and if the developer is appointed with the developer, so that you understand कि पिछले महीने में क्या हुआ. This is very important. This is a part of a tracking and documentation. Everything that happens has to be properly documented. Now, for doing this, you have to use proven systems and standards. Now, what are the proven systems and standards? That again, those standards also you'll find on our website or on our previous webinars also, where we have discussed them in great details. Take precautions. Every time whenever you are taking an action, you have to be very careful. You have to understand do's and don'ts of that and take action and track your project very regularly. And as I said, you'll get those standards, on our website. Now, what does our website www.redevelopment.info give you on a platter, ready to use? Okay, like is something जैसे होता है ना, कोई वो डिश होती है, जस्ट आप लेके उसको पानी में डालो and then it is ready, something like that. Of course, not like this is not 2-minute noodles. This is something like so many years noodle. So step-by-step roadmap, inception to handover. We have given you 350 approximately steps. And what are these steps? What is this roadmap that we have given to you? So as Uma just said, our office, we have an experience of almost 18 years, and we have developed a lot of standards in-house, which we use, in our own projects. we have given those same standards to you so that you can use them. Whatever we develop, we are given it out to you. Tested and used in-house by Technoesis. Then this website can be your self-help guide or manual of operation. होता है ना? Do it yourself like thing. So this can be your DIY, and the beauty of having a electronic resource is that it's always at hand as a useful resource. आप कहीं भी जाओ मोबाइल पे आपको वेबसाइट में जो है मिल जाता है. You do not have to buy a book or anything. So it can be used from any stage. Okay, so maybe you have completed phase 1, want to use it from phase 2, no problem. What you need to do is that पहले आप वहां जाओ, फिर उस स्टेज पे जहां से आप ज्वाइन करना चाहते हो, you first look backwards and see what was required to be done as per this website and what you have done. If you have not done a few things, better get those things in order first and then move on along this, along the roadmap which is presented on this website. But remember, this is a generic process that has been documented. Believe me, it takes into account a lot of things. But there obviously is going to be some things which are very specific to your project. Very, very specific to your project. In which case, you need to evaluate that particular step with the help of your PMC and use only thereafter. So use it with care and relevance. And of course, we are still continuously improving the website and making it richer and richer. Now, as I said, the roadmap which you have presented is generic. What does it mean? Now I know there are some people who have joined from Kolhapur. One of my senior associates has joined from Kolhapur, one from Nanded. So is this relevant to them? By all means, yes, because you may have come from a different city which has a different DCPR. Okay, like say Mumbai, Thane, Pune, wherever, it doesn't matter. The DCPR will change, the policies will change, the process remains the same. Plot, whether you own the plot or the conveyance is still not with you, or maybe you have a lease plot or a collector land or a MADA land, it works because the process is again independent of these things. If it's a building which is cooperative housing society building, or say privately owned building, tenanted building, no problem. Models, redevelopment, yeah. One thing this website is about is redevelopment through a developer. It is, if we have to address self-development, this website will definitely undergo considerable changes, but not all. By and large, the backbone of the process can still remain the same, but there can be a lot of revisions. Those of you who are doing self-development, for them, let me tell you, the difference is mainly would be in, say, up to phase 3. Phase 4 and phase 5 is something which you will find that you can use them even for your self-development today. Any policy, 33.7b, 33.9, any policy, you can do your development with the same roadmap. Any stage, forward action or tracking, or user. Who can use this? Member, managing committee, PMC. Some PMCs have told me. In fact, some developers have also told me that उन्होंने at least ये कुछ तो देखा तो है कि construction stage पे क्या करना है उनको. So, of course, everyone is going to look at it from his perspective and trying to find out as to what he's looking for, whether it is available on the website. So the approach and process presented for plot owned by his cooperative housing society. So two things here which remain fixed. One is this is generally developed for cooperative housing societies and definitely developed for redevelopment through the hands of a developer. Structure of the website, you will find there's a homepage which gives basics, references, how to use, website, notes are there, so many, contact information, and corresponding to the 5 phases, there are 5 inner phases. And for each phase, remember, when I say roadmap, there are steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, like that, for each phase, for each stage. And for each such step, the first question is whether that, what is that step? क्या करना है? Action point क्या है? वो independently करना है कि जनरल बॉडी में करना है? वो किसको करना है? मैनेजिंग कमेटी को करना है? Who is going to do it? और पीएमसी करना है और इसको किसको करना है? अच्छा, अगर करते हैं तो उसमें से which records are getting now the same action. It is so important that we should call it a milestone. It is so important. Then it gets a different label. Then when the same action is being taken, are there any important records which are generated? That's a part of documentation. And guideposts. What we have also done is that even for each step, we have given as guidepost separately formulated notes, which you can take as a, notes within notes. So for example, if you want to know how to select a developer, how to evaluate a developer, you will find a guidepost for that. How to select a developer, how to select a PMC, you will find a guidepost for that. How to conduct a general body meeting and what kind of resolutions have to be passed, you will find a guidepost. तो आपके लिए ना स्टेट में और भी कुछ दूसरा क्रॉस रेफरेंसेस है. They are the guideposts. They have been specially designed and to guide you at that stage. So now let's come to the 2 important concepts. The first one being Guideline 79A of the MCS Act 1960. Again, I'm only covering little bit. Let me tell you, if you check out our webinars, serial number 1 to 9, you will find the same subject, but in a much greater detail, in much greater depths. Okay, what are 79A guidelines? They are the guidelines which first came into picture in 2009 and then subsequently revised in 2019. Okay, right in the beginning of those guidelines, the narration goes that they tell you as to why these guidelines were developed, and they say very clearly that they found certain problems or certain issues, certain challenges in redevelopment projects because of which projects have been failing. That's what they say. And to bring in discipline and to reduce the percentage of failure or to avoid pitfalls for a cooperative housing society, they decided to roll out these guidelines. So remember, the intention is to reduce the uncertainties, bring in discipline, and to reduce the failures. So with that, these guidelines have been rolled out. So it talks about transparency as one point and consensual and informed decisions. That's the hallmark of 79A, and it has been structured around that. Then it also tells you about conduct of 2 general body meetings and sending minutes of meeting. Now, okay, I'll come to the point. Then the appointment of PMC as the project guide. Understanding the complexity of the project, 79A or the government believes that you need a proper advisor, a proper guide to do your project because this project is so very complex. So it talks about the appointment of PMC. Then selection of a developer through tendering. They say the developer has to be selected through a process of tendering. They also recommend development of a website for a redevelopment project. This is taking the concept of transparency to the next level. And then there is more information. If you want to understand what 79A is, you'll find it on the website homepage. Plus, at Technoesis, we have developed very step-by-step process of 2. The first, when a society starts a redevelopment project, initially, They are confused. कहाँ से चालू करना है, क्या करना है, and all that, especially with regard to 79A. So we have developed one very step by step 1, 2, 3, 4 steps based on this 79A, and they have been uploaded on that website. So you can easily follow them up to the first. That will take care of your first 6 months work. And then, of course, you can follow the original 79A. Now we have to understand the limitations and relevance of 79A also. किसको लगता है कि ये क्या कायदा है, तो कायदा नहीं है. This is not law. These are recommendations, these are guidelines, these are directives rolled out by MCS or rolled out by government. Now we have to understand this. These guidelines are for internal governance and regulation of. So see, remember, redevelopment project कैसा है? एक तो सोसाइटी है और सोसाइटी का प्रोजेक्ट है. Society is doing the project. So in that, the part which is within the society, the transparency, the communication, and everything, those are the points which are addressed by 79. Okay, not the project part. Because project part is tremendously complex. It cannot be captured into a few pages of 79. So what it is trying to do is its internal governance, internal communication, internal transparency. Okay, then it is not comprehensive project approach. It is beyond the scope of 79. It is not even attempting to do that. What it is saying is this, कि आप PMC so select करो और PMC के advice से जाओ. So what it is doing is that for doing your project, you still need a PMC. You can't do a project with 79A only. Then this is useful only in the formative stages up to development agreement. थोड़ा तो development agreement तक भी इतना कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं है उसमें, but still you can say like that, but definitely not beyond. And this is to be followed in essence and spirit, not in word, because there are so many people. Sometimes people go to court saying this has not been followed, that is not been followed. The point is the transparency maintained? Is the communication maintained? Okay, and are all these people being taken together for a project? If these basic things are followed by a society, practically you have followed 79. You don't have to, actually follow one particular line exactly in those words. Okay, I will tell you, there is one point which is mentioned in 79A, but almost everyone seems to have forgotten about it. Almost everyone. I have not come across anyone who understands. The point is this, that when you are doing a project, when you are doing any activity, थोड़ा planning तो पहले करना चाहिए कि नहीं. If you are going on a tour, even an Indian tour, आपको कहीं केरला भी जाना है, तो will you not be doing any planning how you will how will you travel, where will you stay, and those dates, everything, sightseeing, whatever. So some planning is required. हम लोग ऑफिस जाते हैं तभी मतलब हम लोग ट्रेन का प्लानिंग करते हैं. I'll take 7:28 train, then I'll do this. But somehow I don't know why. But when people start redevelopment project, I'm really surprised. No one thinks of planning in advance. No one thinks of planning in advance. आप लोग यहाँ पर है, just think if you are doing a project, जब भी आपने प्रोजेक्ट चालू किया तभी आगे का the main stops, चलो डेवलपर सिलेक्शन तक. ओके, है क्या प्लानिंग? पहले हम ये करेंगे, ये मैंने ऐसा कि बस आज इसके आगे ये करना है, करो. फिर करते करते 6 महीना उसमें वेस्ट करो, आगे चलो. So there's no kind of plan on which you should put yourself. Okay, so but तो 79 या 79 हम लोग बोल रहे हैं, but there is, if you see on page 1 complaint serial number 5, it says absence of consistent approach by PMC. It's your PMC job to give you initially the basic planning about how the project is going to go, at least up to selection of developer, at least up to that. Okay, there is one more point. It also says on page 3 serial number 83 that you should present an outline of the project to the members. What does it mean? It also means the same thing. But this is, I will say, very fundamental point, which I'm so sorry to say that I do not find we do that in our project. We give our dates right in the beginning to our clients. At least some benchmarking dates, without which your project will go, I would say, drift away. You won't have any control on that. Okay, now coming to the other concept of structural audit. ये क्या चीज है? Section 353B of MMC Act, Mumbai Municipal Corporation Act. Okay, is this applicable to Mumbai? I mean, this act is in Mumbai Act. No, sorry, this section is in Mumbai Act. But is this concept applicable to Mumbai only? Answer is no. This concept is applicable to the whole of Maharashtra. Let's see how. So structural audits are it's a statutory provision for the entire state of Maharashtra. It came into existence through amendments to Maharashtra Municipal Corporations and Municipal Councils Act. Let's not go deeper into that. Only thing, what it means is this, that it's a mandatory provision. And what is a structural audit? It's an examination by a structural engineer and to check the safety stability of the building, mainly the fitness of building for human habitation. And the consultant, the structural engineer, should give you a certificate of fitness for human habitation, which is also called structural stability certificate. Now, remember, there are different acts in the state of Maharashtra. At least I know 4. Then maybe I don't know if there are more. But in all those acts, this provision is there. So this is applicable to the entire state of Maharashtra. Now, if you go to our webinar, I think it was the first webinar or second webinar, I don't know, but you will find a lot of deliberations on structural audit, not just the provisions. क्यों करते हैं, कैसे करते हैं, क्या नहीं करते हैं, क्या where the report is to be submitted. So those of you who have that interest can check out those webinars. Then okay, now this provision of structural audit in Mumbai Municipal Corporation Act, it is called Section 353B. Now this number will be different in different acts in the state of Maharashtra. For Mumbai, it is 353B. Okay, so these are some numbers which Mumbai people don't like. C1, 353B, 354. अच्छा नहीं लगता है, डर लगता है. Then what does the provision say? It says that first structural audit should be undertaken at 30 years from what? From the issue of completion certificate or occupation certificate or first date of assessment. अगर आपके पास ऑक्यूपेशन सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है तो फर्स्ट डेट ऑफ असेसमेंट, अगर असेसमेंट नहीं हुआ है तो फिजिकल ऑक्यूपेशन ऑफ एटलीस्ट 50% ऑफ बिल्ट अप एरिया, अगर वो भी नहीं है तो डेट ऑफ वाटर कनेक्शन, whichever is earlier. So you have no way to escape from this. Water connection तो सबके पास होता ही है. So you just have no way out of, coming to wriggle out of a structural audit provision. So in that sense also, it is a mandatory condition, or it may be done even earlier if your building is found to be dilapidated. So this is the requirement of structural audit, and thereafter every 10 years. So pehla structural audit 30 years, then 40, 50, 60, unless your building is so bad that it needs it more frequently. That is what MMC Act is saying. So MMC Act, in a way, strangely enough, I think it believes कि 30 साल building को कुछ होता ही नहीं है, which I don't agree. Anyway, so we'll come to the next slide. Okay. Then the certificate is to be submitted within 1 year. And the structural engineer must be registered with Bombay Municipal Corporation. Now here I made a comment that does it mean that the building remains healthy for 30 years, not requiring any structural audit, especially in a city, a coastal city like Mumbai, with vehicular position, with saline conditions and everything, and with a lot of alterations, initial alterations and misuse. Okay, I don't need an answer. You know it well. So, yeah. So once structural audit is done, your structural audit, structural consultant is required to classify your building. And there are 4 classes here. If it is C1, which is in red, it means it's an unsafe building to be vacated and demolished immediately, leading to notice under section 350, 354. Ideal candidate for redevelopment. Okay, your building is not C1, then it could be C2. And in C2 also, C2 means it needs major structural repairs. But even in that, there are 2 parts. C2A means it requires major structural repairs, but by partially vacating the dangerous part. Partly आपको vacate करना है. या तो आपकी building है C2, आपको repair करना है, but you don't need to vacate. That's the second classification. And C3 meaning आप बच गए. It means there's a minor repairs, no evacuation required. And if there's small repair, you can undertake them. Now, there is a parallel provision about structural audit in model bylaws of cooperative housing society. Okay, if you adopted the model bylaws which were published in August 2024 or something like that, you'll find there's a bylaw number 76, which says that structural audit should be done first at 15 years, 30 nahi, 15 years. Then after 15 years, 15 to 30 years, every 5 years. And then after 30 years, every 3 years. So after 30 years, as per 353B, you are doing your first structural audit. As per the model bylaws, you have already completed so many structural audits. And I think this, in looking at the quality of buildings, the conditions of the building in the city of Mumbai and around, I think this law or bylaw also makes a lot of sense. And for a cooperative housing society, okay, just a minute. The other 353B, it is applicable to any type of building, not necessarily cooperative housing society. It can be a private bungalow, it can be a school, it can be a mall, it can be anything. Whereas bylaw number 76 of the cooperative societies, that is applicable to the buildings owned by cooperative housing society. That's the difference. Now, for cooperative societies, housing societies, which are within municipal limits, it is to be done through engineers from corporation panel, and other cooperative societies, it is done by government approved structural engineer. Okay. Now that brings us to, after discussing these 2 concepts, now let's come to the mainstream project of redevelopment. And the phase 1, as we have seen, is feasibility study. Okay, down below here, you will find there's a legend. M standing for milestone, R standing for record, and GP standing for guidepost. I explained these terms to you a little while ago. M is that a milestone, meaning an important step which you have achieved. Record means any particular record or documentation which you have created. And GP means those specially formulated guideline posts or guide posts which you can take sort of a ready-made kind of a thing and adopt to your project. So phase 1 has got 2 stages, and that is why we had 2 webinars for this, webinar number 2 and 3. The first was for stage 1, wherein you initiate a redevelopment project and appoint a BMC. How does this go? 20% of the members request the managing committee to convene a special general body meeting to take a decision on redevelopment and to select a PMC. To take a decision on redevelopment. Then the managing committee will collect proposals from different PMCs and prepare a comparative statement of PMCs, perhaps do a shortlist, depending on their credentials and commercial offers, and then make a presentation, shortlist and present it to the members. Then the shortlisted PMCs are invited to make their presentation to the general body, and in a general body meeting, wherein here which I have called as HGPM1, 2 decisions are taken. One is the resolution to go for redevelopment, and the second one is selection of a PMC. Okay, now you will find on the website as well as in the summary notes or in this presentation also that we have identified 8 general body meetings minimum. Minimum 8 general body meetings will be required from the time you start your project till the time you vacate your premises. Till that time. So something like, if you go by our time frame, in 2 years, there will be 8 general body meetings. This is the first one. Now, just to give you on the right hand, for the second step, on the right hand side, you see in red color GP, which means guidepost. I showed you this legend M milestone R record G guidepost. So this is the first guidepost, and these guideposts are available, the records are available, the milestones are available, all these things are available on our website. R stands for record, G stands for guidepost, M stands for milestone. Now see, you henceforth, I just wanted to explain these terms to you and put them in the slides also. So later on, when you have a look, when you are going through the slides, you will be able to understand them better, or some chord will strike in your mind about this. But in the subsequent slides, I'm not going to talk much about GP, D, RP, etc. because what we are having is a summary webinar. There's not much time to discuss that. Although these discussions you will find in our detailed webinars, which are already there on our YouTube channel. So you have selected a PMC, then issue a letter of appointment to PMC, and very important, draw out a roadmap and time schedule for PMC at up to vacating premises. This is what I mean by planning. If you are not able to do that, visit website, visit www.redevelopment.info. You will find it there. There are steps given. तो वो लेके आप उसको उसके अगेंस्ट डेट्स डालते जाइए, and then you can be ready with your roadmap and time schedule. Now this is stage 1. Okay. Now once your PMC is on board, next thing is to take up feasibility study and report. Stage 1 takes about 2 months. Stage 2 also takes about 2 months. Then you provide property documents to PMC, your title documents, आपका conveyance, approval plans, latest property documents, remarks जो public domain में से मिलते हैं, physical survey of plot करना है, okay? ये steps आपको लेने हैं. Now, what are these title documents? वो कैसे लेते हैं? उसमें से कौन से important है? How they have to be corroborated? Everything that you can find only in the detailed webinar. We do not have time to discuss that, but this is in sequence. When I'm discussing this as a step, I thought it was worthwhile to talk about it. Then finalize base carpet areas. Okay, now those areas, in redevelopment, everything happens on the basis of your existing carpet area. We call them base carpet area because they are used as bases. Now, what are your existing carpet areas or base carpet areas? Don't think it's easy to decide that. You may decide, अरे वो तो क्या agreement में लिखा है वो है, या someone will say वो हम लोग या assessment extract में मिल सकता है, इधर है उधर. This is not how it is to be decided. There are different sources, 3-4 sources. Now you have to use some people directly resort to actual measurement of carpet area, which is also not 100% authentic. 100% authentic base carpet areas are those areas which are calculated from your approved plans. If you don't have them, maybe you have to resort to some other options, and that is fine. But how to finalize base carpet areas itself can be a challenge. Itself, I can talk on this subject for 15 to 20 minutes, which is I don't have the luxury of time today. But this is an important thing, and get them approved in an HGBM too. You must have seen here कि underline होता है ना, तो HGBM होता है. Here also you can see underline is HGBM, and bold means milestone, major milestones. So this activity, finalize base carpet area, is a milestone, because you are deciding something, as well as it is happening in a general body meeting. That is why there is an underline. Then create website for redevelopment project. Then you get a feasibility report from PMC. Now feasibility report is also a very complex thing. वो क्या होता है, कैसा होता है, cost, उसका cost estimate कैसे करते हैं, what are the parameters which have bearing on that. So much of discussion. I think there we have the biggest, longest webinar which we have had was, I think, number 3 was on feasibility report. It was perhaps 2 hours thing. There's so much to talk about feasibility. There's so much. It's not just a 2-page, 3-page calculation. There are a lot of things. How to start, what to take in, what are the important things, how to proceed, how to estimate cost, how to estimate revenue, how to fix yardsticks for feasibility. Then what are the important parameters on which feasibility depends a lot. Okay, then what are the other applications of feasibility? There is a lot to learn. So those of you who would be interested, please definitely have a look at that webinar. And discussion and approval of feasibility report. Once the report is prepared by PMC, then there's a discussion and approval of feasibility report in HGBM 3. Then there is going to be a third HGBM. So in this phase of initiating a project and doing a feasibility study, we have now had 3 general body meetings, and this has been a broad sequence. Our website will give you a sequence which is much finer. There are many steps in between. It's not, this is only the broad steps. Now, what are the key points of phase 1? Period. Now let's say what is the period? Stage 1, approximately 2 months. Stage 2, approximately 2 months. Total approximately 4 months. Milestones and HGBMs. Decision for redevelopment, selecting a PMC, HGBM 1. Finalization for base carpet area, HGBM 2. Approval for feasibility report, HGBM 3. Sensitivity, as I said, moderate. And the reference webinars or videos. SRD meaning successful redevelopment. Yeah, successful redevelopment series. Okay. For more information, you can see the webinars number 2 and 3. That brings us to phase 2, tendering and developer selection. Now you have got your PMC on board, and your feasibility report is also with you. Here also there are 2 stages. First we call as tendering, the second we call as selection of developer. Tendering is basically preparing a tender document and running the process, ultimately finally selecting a developer. So first, draft development documents to come from PMC. Now they will be discussed with managing committee if necessary. And then after discussion, revisions, they will be put up for approval in what we can call as HGBM 4, approval of tender documents, which is also a big milestone. Then finalize tender documents with PMC and float tender. Okay. After you have floated a tender, to newspaper. Now, how to float the tender? Again, go to the webinars. You will get in-depth discussion there. Then sale of tender documents. You sell the tender documents. Have a pre-bid meeting with bidders, wherein the bidders will ask questions. You will be able to answer the questions so that all of them are on the same page when they send their bid to you. So the pre-bid meeting is especially to give that comfort to people, to give them the important information and to answer the questions. Receipt of bids and opening of bids. Now you have bids outcome. Now bids have to be analyzed and eventually a developer is to be selected. Now how does it go? Number 1 is prepare a comparative statement of bids. When I say comparative statement of bids, ideally we should have a 2-bid system, a technical bid and a commercial bid. Technical bid fully focused on the credentials of the developer and the logistics of the project, conduct of the project, whereas a commercial bid
would depend purely on the commercial benefits which are expected. Okay, so the comparative statement has to be is to be prepared for both separately. I mean, if you वो कितना carpet area देता है, कितना corridor देता है, एक छोटा comparative statement doesn't take you anywhere in a project. You are at an important stage of selecting a developer. If this decision goes wrong, then your entire project can lead to failure. So you have to be very, very careful selecting a developer. So comparative statement of bids, and what we also advise and what we also do in our at our office is that we evaluate the bids, we analyze the bids, not just put them comparative statements side by side. We evaluate them. We evaluate them critically based on certain parameters which have varying weights, varying different categories, and prepare a rating report. So every developer gets a rating in depending on his credentials, his commercial offers, financial credentials, experience, and everything. So from such a report, you will be able to understand what are the strengths and weaknesses of each developer, because the table shows you very clearly when it gives you rating for each developer in each category of the parameters. Now, once that is there, done, then you do the first shortlist of the bidders. Then you do the financial and legal due diligence. उनके पास कोई legal cases pending है क्या, या कोई bankruptcy है क्या company में. Such things have to be verified, and that is, I may say, legal, financial. Financial में भी वो how मतलब financially वो कितने sound है, उनके funds कहाँ से आते हैं. Okay. Then thereafter, joint meetings and negotiations with the developer. First joint meeting. उसके बाद, once you have had a joint meeting and negotiations, naturally you will ask the bidders to give revised proposals. Then, based on that, you may do a final shortlist of bidders. Or if you have got so many bidders, then you may have one more shortlist and then you may have final shortlist. Okay. So then do due diligence of shortlisted bidders, a final due diligence. By meeting their people, by meeting their chartered accountant, understand the financials, meeting their lawyer, understand, or at least satisfy yourself about their financial and legal background. And now the time has come to appoint a legal advisor for you. Okay, so this is the time, because now if you think the final shortlist bidder का बन गया है, अभी यहाँ से developer तो एक तो select तो होने वाला ही है, then it's the time has come to appoint your own legal advisor. तो उसके लिए आप proposal ले लीजिए, उसका comparative statement shortlist बना के finally then select a legal advisor and give a letter of appointment to him. क्योंकि इसके आगे भी उनका काम, when the developer is selected, legal work will be required. Then ये हो गया. So now we have got the final shortlist of bidders. Then organize the presentation of those in the final shortlist to your members. So each bidder in the final shortlist will come and make a presentation to your members, wherein he'll talk about his proposal, he'll talk about his plans, time frame, commercial offer, his credentials. Your members will be able to interact with him, ask questions, and satisfy themselves. And once you have gone through that, depending on the outcome of the presentation, if you wish to further negotiate and get final techno-commercial offer from the shortlisted bidders, you may want to do this or you may not want to do this. Okay, depending on, I mean, it depends on what really gets discussed in the HGBM file. And then you select a preferred developer within your society, a developer of your preference. A preferred selection of a preferred developer does not mean selection of a developer. It only means that that developer is a preferred developer. However, his appointment or selection as a developer will be confirmed much later through a 79A selection process. And once now the tendering stage has come to an end almost, so the BMC will give you a tendering report, and then you go through a 79A process for selecting a developer, which is HDBN 6. This is the meeting wherein a representative from the Office of Deputy Registrar is invited, and a selection of a developer happens through a video shooting. And this is how a developer is finally selected. Now, once the developer is selected, a no objection certificate is issued in favor of the developer from the Office of Deputy Registrar. And once you have selected a developer, then जो भी आपने जो अनेस मनी डिपॉजिट लिया होगा पहले दूसरे डेवलपर से, अदर डेवलपर्स, that you will have to return to the unsuccessful bidders. What are the key points here? In phase 2, it has 2 stages. Stage 1 approximately 3 months, stage 2 approximately 5 months, total approximately 8 months. You might ask me this question, why are you saying 5 months, 11 months? Why the odd number? Why not say 6 months, 12 months? The answer is, when we actually do the calculations, we end up with 5. आप 5 को 6 समझ लो, 11 को 12 समझ लो, that's a loose understanding. We are absolutely fine with that. So long as, the very fact that you are able to think in terms of time frame itself is something good, rather than, let the project happen the way it is happening. Then milestones, approval of tender documents, floating tender, opening of bids, comparative statement, final shortlist of bidders, presentation to members, and selection of a developer. These are the major milestones in this phase. What is the sensitivity? High. Why is that? You are selecting a developer. Okay. And what are the reference webinars or videos for this successful redevelopment series number 4 and 5? Okay. If you want a complete analysis of how a developer is to be selected, क्या उसमें देखना पड़ता है, आप webinar number 5 देखिए. The entire webinar number 5 is dedicated to that process. Coming to phase 3, the trickiest phase. Developer आ गया, अभी आपको उसके साथ काम करना है. Pre-construction. So before your building actually goes for construction. Preparations. How do you prepare? So stage 1 is preparation. Okay, this is a phase of something like 11-12 months. उसमें से stage 1 है preparation. इसमें ऐसा है कि आपने डेवलपर को सिलेक्ट तो कर लिया. Now issue a letter of intent to him, and then the acceptance of letter of intent will come from the developer. Now, depending on what are the payment terms, maybe there are some payment terms that the developer should make some payments to the society at the stage of LOI. Then those payments will come, deposits will come, securities will come, depending on what you are specified in the tender document. Then the time has come for confirmation or rectification of legal title. अगर आपका conveyance नहीं है, तो इस stage पे आपको conveyance पक्का करना है. और यार आपके कन्वीनियंस में कुछ चीज बची हुई है, तो दिस इज द टाइम यू हैव टू लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल you have a conveyance with, you have drafted consent terms with someone for getting conveyance. Those consent terms need to be finalized at this stage. Then along with the legal title, there are some points which have to be looked into from technical angle also. Old approved plan, आपके जो plans है वो relevant है क्या? So आप देखो कैसा है ना, पुराना plan कोई भी मिल जाता है ना, which has a little blue and little brown color, सब लोग उसको approved plan बोलते हैं. What we have seen, वो सब approved plan नहीं होते हैं. उस only approved plans are very few. कोई भी ऐसा पुराना बड़ा ड्राइंग है, थोड़ा टूटा फूटा है तो वो अप्रूव प्लान नहीं बनता है. You have to see even if it is stamped by BMC. अगर BMC ने स्टैम्प किया तो आपको देखना पड़ता है कि वो क्या स्टैम्प किया है. अप्रूव ऐसा किया है then it is approved plan. लेकिन इनवर्ड किया है, खाली एक्सेप्ट किया है something, it's not an approved plan even if there's a rubber stamp of BMC. So all these things has to be now looked into at this stage, especially by the builder, because the builder has to now understand the project from technical angle. And if there is something, he has to something which is he doesn't feel is not right, he doesn't feel is right. He has to bring it to the notice of the society. Latest property documents, आपके जो latest DP remarks होते हैं, CTS प्लान होते हैं, PR कार्ड होते हैं, जो भी होता है ना, वो सब TPS प्लान हो सकते हैं, TPS remarks हो सकते हैं, all whatever it is. So such latest property documents need to be obtained because project करना है. Now the builder may also undertake another physical survey of the plot at his end. हमने तो पहले किया ही है. Then FSI potential is worked out. Total FSI कितना है? What is FSI potential? What is built-up area? What is carpet area? What is super built-up area? What is RERA carpet area? How they are interlinked? Please check out in the webinars. Then final amenities and work specifications. That is to be agreed between the developer and society. And if your plot requires subdivision or amalgamation, that needs to be established at this point of time. Then comes, we have prepared for this phase 3. Now let's go into legal documentation. So legal title certificate has to be given. बहुत बार developer का lawyer study करके वो बनाता है. Then there are other 2 documents which have to be prepared. Development agreement and power of attorney. And we as PMC always insist on our project that the first draft of such document should go from society and society only. So that it goes, and because the draft जब वो जाता है तो it becomes consistent. You can tell your lawyer to prepare the draft of DA and POA which is in conformity with your tender document. If you tell a developer's lawyer to do that, he will refer to his some old file, वहां से बना के आपको दे देगा with link or no reference to your tender document. And then you already, if you do that, then you have a big setback right in the beginning. तो ये नहीं करना है. So first draft, it has to go from society and it has to be consistent with the tender document. Of course, the draft can later on change and then you can move on and revise that draft. Then the stage comes, review करो, modify करो, review करो, वापस modify करो, वापस review करो, any number of times until review क्या करो, draft of development agreement, annexures and power of attorney until both the lawyers are satisfied. Okay. Then finalize the DA and annexures and power of attorney between the legal advisor and managing committee. Now simultaneously also finalize the individual agreement या PAAA जिसको बोलते हैं, आपके फ्लैट का agreement, जिसका भी ना first draft should go from the society. Now there is again the process of review, modify, review, which happens, and then a PAAA is finalized. Now these legal documents which are finalized now, they are DA, POA, PAAA. Okay, so these documents have to then go for the approval of the general body in what we call as HDBM 7. I am not limiting you to HDBM 8 HDBM. You can have more, but I cannot possibly understand how anyone can have less than 8. So this is the 7th one. Then execute and register the development agreement. And again, just like LOI, अभी आपका DA हो गया, तो DA के बाद आपको कोई कॉर्पस देना है क्या, या कोई एडिशनल सिक्योरिटी देना है क्या, whatever has been specified in the tender and was in the tender document, all those obligations have to be discharged by the developer on execution of the DA. तो आपको देखना है DA में, या आपको टेंडर में या DA में देखना है कि what happens when the DA is signed and what is developer supposed to do and how much payment he has to make to you and everything. So accordingly, you will get those things done. Then discharge obligation on execution of DA and issue power of attorney to developer. Now the developer has got his power of attorney, the development agreement. So entire legal documentation is complete. And then now the developer is legally authorized or empowered to act on the society's behalf to secure approvals and to take the project forward. So next comes technical part, which is plans and approvals. So developers architect will give the floor plans, then which again will go through the series of review, modify, review, maybe multiple times. Your PMC will check them. He'll check the carpet area, he'll check the amenities, check the planning, and maybe make some suggestions about that. And this can happen, multiple times. A PMC, okay, there is, you can see a GP here. You can see GP. The GP is this particular guidepost is for how to review a plans received from developer. I'm just giving an example here, architectural plans. So you can have a look at that, those GPs which are available on the website. Between PM developer ने जो बनाए हुए हैं. Then based on these architectural plans, which are not the complete plans of the building, they are floor plans mainly. Okay, so once the floor plans are not final, unless the floor plans are finalized, you cannot proceed to the all the plans of the building. So once the floor plans are finalized, then you can tell the developer's architect to prepare those plans which are going to be submitted to the BMC for approval, which are called proposal plans. And again, this time the review will be done by PMC, not from, especially from it will be checking कि पहले क्या agree किया था वैसा ही proposal plan में आया है कि नहीं. Again, the society areas will be verified, their amenities will be verified. But now the plans will be there for all the floors, for car park, basement if necessary, then the car moving, how the car will move within the building, all open spaces, gates कहाँ पे है, okay. फिर आपकी society office कहाँ है, club house कहाँ, all these things will be shown in those principal proposal plans, which will be finally checked by PMC. And once they are checked by PMC, then the plans are approved. They are taken to the general body. Okay, one more point here. Review of proposal plan हो गया, उसके बाद scheme of allotment. अभी आपके member है और ये plan है. So based on how the existing members will be allocated those flats in the new building. That scheme also has to be finalized at this stage. And decide scheme of allotment. And then approve plans and do the allotment in SGBM 8. The 8th SGBM is for approval of the plans and approval of allotment. Then submit. Now, once these plans are finally approved, the society will sign, the developer will sign, and only those plans should go for approval to BMC. And then the final approval that the builder gets the approvals, which is called IOD, which is intimation of this approval, I would say conceptual approval. And once the IOD comes, again PMC has to, at least this is what we do. Plan जब भी अप्रूव हो गया था वापस एक बार हम लोग चेक करेंगे कि वैसा ही है कि नहीं कि कुछ चेंज है. So this is a verification. So this is so much about the stage of 3 of plans and approval. And now we are coming at a very, very important and sensitive stage of a project where you come to the stage of vacating, right? So the IOD तो आ गया, IOD के बाद the developer will comply with the conditions of IOD. The IOD actually means a conditional approval. Approval तो आ गया, but उसमें conditions है. So which are the conditions? Those conditions have to be addressed by the developer. And then आपका IOD आ गया, then you are in principle ready for vacating. But Is IOD the only thing that is required for vacating? The answer is no. Remember this point. IOD आ गया vacate करो? Not at all. So there are certain things to be fulfilled by the builder as well as the society at the time of vacating. It's not only IOD. IOD is one of them. So there's a list of these things which is given in our webinar, or say on our website also it is given. Webinar भी हमने वो सब पहले webinar में explain किया है कि these are what are the things which are to be done. All these have to be completed, then only you should vacate. You should not vacate in a hurry, right? So execute and register P-triple-E. अगर आपके प्लान सही है तो आप P-triple-E रजिस्टर करो and fulfill conditions for issuing notice to vacate by, look at number 3 very carefully. Fulfill conditions for issuing notice to vacate by developer. Where are these conditions? First, they should be in your tender, and then later on they should be in the TA. And these are the conditions. जब तक ये होते नहीं है आपको flat vacate नहीं करना है. So these are the conditions. One set of conditions. 1, 2, 3, 4 ऐसे दिए हुए हैं. Then after these conditions are fulfilled, then the developer should issue a notice to vacate to society, vacate karo, and then you will vacate your existing units. When I say units, I mean flats, shops, offices, whatever. Now comes after you have vacated, does the plot automatically goes to the developer? It doesn't. There has to be a proper legal transfer of the flat. I mean transfer meaning handover of the flat to the developer so that he can demolish the existing building and construct a new building. Now that we call as letter to enter. The letter has to be given by the society to the developer that he can enter and do the construction. Now there are conditions for that also. It is not that some लोगों ने vacate कर दिया तो आप दे दो नहीं. There can be conditions about insurance. There can be conditions about further security. There can be conditions about lien on sale area. There can about bank guarantee. There can be many. There can be conditions about payment of rent, corpus. So many conditions. So these two conditions, the lists are given on our website or in the webinar. So have a look at them. And then issue, and then once that is done, then issue letter to enter to the developer. Then the developer will accept the letter of acceptance of LT. He will accept and give you a letter. Then he will demolish existing building and obtain what is called as a commencement certificate. And once the commencement certificate is received, the project will be registered in RERA. So the key points, approximately 9 to 12 months. In my first slide, I had shown 11 months. So this is approximately 9 to 12 months. There are milestones: issue of LOI, approve, execute, and register development agreement, finalize plans by D. All these are milestones. आपने plan finalize किए, milestone बन गया. आपने proposal plan finalize कर दिए, milestone बन गया. Builder ने plan submit किया BMC में, it's a milestone. Then approvals and permissions are a milestone. I mean, what I mean is IOD. IOD itself is a milestone. Then later to enter is a milestone, and finally getting a CC is a milestone. So many milestones are there in this. Then sensitivity is extremely high. Let me tell you, many of the failures, I say most of the failures which happen in a redevelopment project, they happen in this phase. For many reasons. So those reasons also discussed in the webinar, but right now I don't have time to. But this is the most sensitive project. There may be some of you in the audience कि शायद इनके पास ऐसा हिस्ट्री होगा या उनके किसके यहाँ सुना होगा कि developer was appointed, and I am talking about 9 to 12 months, but for 3 years nothing happened. 3 साल के बाद एग्रीमेंट हो गया, 2 साल के बाद केवल एग्रीमेंट हो गया, अभी तो डीए हुआ ही नहीं. So agreement should happen ideally 3 months. Maybe 3 to 4 months, whatever, from the selection of a developer. But that itself has taken 3 years. मेरे एक मिनट के खुद के प्रोजेक्ट में भी हो गए. So such are the things which are, so that is why And when the project gets delayed by so many years at this stage, then both the society as well as the developer, they have issues reconciling with this. फिर वो छोटे छोटे पॉइंट भी बड़े इशू बन जाते हैं और वो प्रोजेक्ट some projects slip into litigation in this space. So this is a very sensitive, very important, decisive, yes, project. This is the most decisive project क्योंकि इसके बाद आपकी बिल्डिंग का कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्चुअली होने वाला है. सबसे बड़ा माइलस्टोन अगर आप कुछ बोलेंगे तो ये है. If I have to identify a single milestone in the entire development project, this is it. But it comes with a extremely high sensitivity. Now, okay, you can refer to webinar number 6 for more details on this. Now coming to construction. Now construction and repossession, ये जो दो फेज है ना, इसमें मैं ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाऊंगा because in fact there's a lot of things happen here, and there are 3 different teams working. Society है, PMC है, developer की teams है, contractor, so much. Now this has been very well articulated for every person, for every agency, whether it is a contractor, whether it is a developer, everything on the website, the things are given, even in the previous webinars. But it's very difficult to discuss all that thing here. I will only give you an overview of what happens in the construction, in the construction phase. You know, first of all, anyone who reaches the stage of construction, you have to congratulate him, because the first, second, and third stages, phases are really, really crucial. So let's see what happens in this construction phase. The salient features of construction phase. Period is about 36 months. Now, the nature, what happens in this phase? Actual construction work as per development agreement or as per tender document, as per as per B.Tech also, because internal amenities are there. Now roles. What are the roles? I'm not going into action point, because action points will be both होंगे. 50, 60, 70 होंगे. It will be difficult to cover in this. But let me tell you about the roles of the department. Developer का role क्या है? Actual construction. Now remember, he is a turnkey contractor for a project. I'm saying contractor, remember this. Developer is a turnkey contractor for this project appointed by virtue of the development agreement. Contractor इसलिए बोल रहे हैं हम लोग, उसका contractor बोल के छोटा नहीं करना है. Contractor meaning because he has signed a contract with you, that is why. So his job is to construct the building with the promised quality, within the given time frame, especially, and he also has to be responsible for cost. Of course, the society has nothing to do with cost part, and he has to also be careful about the statutory compliance. So everything that happens once you give LTE to the developer, everything that happens on the construction site, entire responsibility falls on the developer. Remember this part. So this is what his role is. So what is the role of the PMC? PMC's role is to monitor the construction work, document, coordinate, and report. Monitoring, documentation, coordination, and reporting to society. I'm talking about the role of PMC of society PMC. I'm not talking about the role of the developers PMC here. Third point is society का क्या काम है? Interim approvals and decisions. Like for example, sliding window ये लगा है, so ये क्या? Approval चाहिए. There are so many things. Okay. So for example, इसका और किस चीज का अप्रूवल आपको चाहिए? Yeah, what we call a show flat or sample flat approval required. So whenever approvals are required for fittings and fixtures, for materials, tiles ka color, ye wo sab, everything, you know, for that approvals are required, which have to come from society. Decisions have to come from society, and of course contractual obligations from the society also, such as ऐसा अगर है कि उसका डेवलपर का जो ये है Okay, if certain amount of bank guarantee is to be released when all the RCC work is complete. Suppose all the RCC work is complete, then society has to release, or if there's a condition like that, then the society has to release that bank guarantee to the developer. So these are whatever are the contractual obligations on the society, they also have to be performed by the society. Now, what are the documents? ये जो प्रोजेक्ट होता है ये बहुत मतलब ये कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटी बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है. उसमें जो बेस लाइन दिया जाता है, कंस्ट्रक्शन हैपेंस on the basis of which reference documents? Number one, development agreement, approved plans and building permits. ये तो है ही, ठीक है. लेकिन इसमें कुछ काम तो कुछ नहीं हुआ. डेवलपमेंट एग्रीमेंट मिला, प्लान मिला, बिल्डिंग परमिट्स. Then comes working drawings, right? Working drawings from good for construction, working drawings from which come from developer, architect, structure engineer, plumber, MEP consultant, जो भी उसके consultants हैं. Materials and work specifications. So all that work that is happening, it has to happen with on the basis of these requirements. BIS code, Bureau of Indian Standards, and project schedule. अगर उसका डेवलपर का ये देखना है हमें, प्रोजेक्ट का प्रोग्रेस ट्रैकिंग करना है. So there is a project schedule which developer has to give with before you vacate. Remember this. Before you vacate, the developer has to give you a detailed project schedule using which you should be able to monitor this project. So that project schedule, the milestones which have been identified in that. So these are the reference documents on the basis of which developer has to construct, PMC has to monitor, and society has to support with decisions and approvals. That is the sum total of a very complex activity, which is construction of a building itself. Yeah. Yes. So the second part of this, what Uma mentioned is that in construction part, in the construction phase, we had two webinars. One was about what happens, and the second was about how to document, because there's so much to document at the construction stage, document and report. So first is what we do. Okay, I'm telling you what we do at our office and what has been put on the website and what was discussed in the last webinar. This is exactly what we do. So we daily data capture through PMC site engineer. We have our engineer at the site who collects data every day in a certain format, in a certain classified way, and we call it a structured data, which goes and sits in our management information system, or MIS. So all that data that is happening, that is collected or captured by our engineer on a day-to-day basis. I think we have about 11 or 12 forms in which he collects that data. Then weekly tracking of the progress through PMC site visits. What we do is that our project coordinator visits the project site once every week. Okay, and he takes stock of the situation. He interacts with our site engineer. He interacts with the project in charge of the developer, and he understands. He takes stock of where the project is going. So that's the tracking which we do on a weekly basis. And the record that is created is HVME site visit reports. The third thing, monthly project review through joint review meetings. Every month there is a joint review meeting at the site with representation from developers, society, as well as PMC, with some invitees of consultants if necessary. And depending on the data which has been captured and the site visit reports, the tricky points are taken up for discussion and resolved in the meeting. And the document that is created is minutes of meeting. Then another documentation, another report that is prepared, that we prepare for our clients, is what we call as project review report. So wherein we give the project summary, status of drawings, inputs, actions required, Then there's a separate quality report, separate progress review report, record of site visits and progress review meetings, any communications, emails, all documented, important decisions and critical remarks. So these reports typically can be 20, 30, 30, 20, 30, 35 pages, okay, for each site. And they give our client a picture of what exactly happened in the last month. So this becomes a permanent record uh, for our clients. So if our project goes on for 36 months, they will have 36 such reports, which will tell them the story about how the construction happened. And we also give an online project tracker, wherein what we do is that for our projects. So tracking is done at the site, presented to the managing committee. But how does the member know about that? So for a member, for existing members of the society, when they vacate and they move to different places anywhere in the world, we give them a tool of project tracker from where, and in that we give them a user ID password, and they can log in and check the current status of the project, the whatever is uploaded. If the site visit reports are uploaded, minutes of meeting, whatever is uploaded, they will have an access to that information which is updated once a month. Now the key points, 36 months approximately, major milestone. In fact, there are many milestones here. I have just selected some 9 major milestones. There, I think we have got some 23 milestones or something like that. So major milestones are plinth, RCC slabs. So our complete RCC is complete. Masonry and cluster, finishing and waterproofing, doors and windows, services, which is plumbing and electrical, painting, amenities and balance works, which जो पहले होते नहीं है, थोड़े बाद में होते हैं, and finally full occupancy certificate. Okay, so these are the milestones. Now sensitivity is high. यहाँ high क्यों है sensitivity? Because there is a lot of money required for construction. Otherwise, from the general perspective, approval तो आपके आ गए, आप vacate हो गए. अभी now the sensitivity in this phase depends on the builder's performance, the developer's performance, how he handles that. If he handles it very well, then your sensitivity is not much. But if he is really kind of not able to manage the site, or the funds, or the further approvals, or whatever, then this can be, you must have heard of developers who stop giving rent. So in that sense, I call this a project has been formulated, but if the developer does not perform, then you have a point here, a problem here. Then we have got 2 webinars, number 7 and 8. One is for what happens at the site. The second is about documentation. Now let's come to the final phase, repossession. That's coming back, which is also called HOTO. HOTO is HOTO, handing over, taking over. So developer is handing over the new building to you, and the society is taking over the new building from the developer. So what happens here? Again, there is so much documentation in this, lots of document. In fact, one very important point about this phase is this: the actual repossession, when the developers gives you the क्या होता है, जनरल नोशन इज ओसी आ गया, डेवलपर नोटिस दे देता है, एंड यू स्टार्ट कमिंग. इट्स एक्चुअली अ रॉन्ग मेथड. ओसी आ गया डजंट मीन योर बिल्डिंग इज फुल्ली कंप्लीट. आई रिपीट, ओसी, even if you have received OC, it does not mean your building is fully complete in all respects. So OC is one important legal document. Great, fine. Now legally you have an identity of the new building. But there are still many things which may be there, which need to be attended to. Okay, and so what happens in, so ideally, the developer gives you a notice of 1 month and you come back within 1 month. So does it mean the time frame for repossession is 1 month? Absolutely no. You may be able to come within 1 month, that is fine. But to do all those things which are required for the building to be completed, to identify the defects, to get them rectified and everything, there are so many other things, you need at least 2 months more. That's our experience. So, in our projects, unless all that checking, rectification is done, then we do not advise our clients to take possession, even if OC has been received. All right. So let's say how this goes. So I would say that the time frame for comprehensive time frame for the repossession phase would be 3 to 4 months, out of which 1 month is for actual repossession, 2 to 3 months are for preparing the building for repossession. So preparations, checking and rectification, उसमें से वो PMC चेक करेगा बिल्डर के सॉरी मेपर्स के फ्लैट्स and then external common areas and services, amenities and equipment. And once he checks each and every flat and a checklist is prepared and a defect, what is called a snag list, which is a defect list is prepared. And then it is given to the developer. Then the rectification is carried out by the developer. Like that, your defects have to be rectified first. Right? So this is how you have to prepare for photo. And how does photo actually happen? पहले हो जाता है मेंबर खुद के फ्लैट और कार पार्क्स ले लेते हैं. The second part is virtual completion of work, meaning not only your flats and car parks, but the project. Then the third point is demo of equipment. आपकी लिफ्ट है, पैसेंजर लिफ्ट है, कार लिफ्ट है, कहीं कोई जगह पे स्ट्रेचर लिफ्ट हो सकती है. Then parking systems, there's a puzzle parking or say tower parking, whatever. So demo of such equipment is required. Or say there is a generator set, uska bhi demo chahiye. So all this without demo of that equipment, you cannot move in. If you don't know how the car parking system works, you cannot park your car. So this demo is important. Then attending to members' complaints. So members have now taken possession, suppose. So this is also a part of handing over, taking over, which is that even after everything has been checked and handed over, still small things can be there, small points which the particular member who's come to stay in the flat, I mean your existing member, he may have certain complaint. So that those complaints have to be addressed by the developer and fulfilling contractual requirements such as releasing bank guarantee, etc. and project closure. एंड इसको प्रॉपर प्रोजेक्ट क्लोज करने का डॉक्यूमेंटरी उसका प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंट बना के कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअली यू हैव टू क्लोज द प्रोजेक्ट एंड दैट इज व्हेन द डिफेक्ट लायबिलिटी पीरियड ऑफ 5 years starts. So which are the photo documents? I think there was a question yesterday when you are taking this thing possession, क्या क्या लेना चाहिए. ये शॉर्ट है, ये समरी है. On website you will find more detail. So handover documents, developer से क्या आना चाहिए? Full occupancy certificate and approved plans and OC level के plans, all approvals, permissions and NOCs, as-built drawings, architectural, MEP, structural, quality certifications from consultant. जिस consultant ने काम को checking किया and everything, उसका certification, all those certificates. Now there are many certifications. Every time when the construction was happening, there was someone checking, someone certifying. So all those certifications are extremely important, and they have to be handed over to the client. Amenities के लिए या suppose आपकी fitting fixtures है, AMCs, lift की AMC, puzzle parking की AMC, okay, even your water purifier, AMC warranty, whatever. and O&M, operation and maintenance manuals for, like say, for example, your door video system, technical catalogs. These also have to be handed over to the society by the developer. Then from the PMC side, the project completion report is had to be handed over. Now PMC has given every month one report, which you saw as monthly report. Now this is the final report, uh, which is called project completion report. And then ideally the project completion letter is given by the society to the developer saying ki project has been completed, and um, then the developer can demobilize from the site. What are the key points? Period approximately 3 months, including notice for repossession. I explained this to you. Milestone, rectification of defects in members units, rectification of defects in common areas, taking possession of individual units. उन्होंने ले लिया तो वो भी milestone बन गया. Taking possession of building now, not the individual units, not the flats, buildings and common amenities, and takeover of site from developer. Finally, legal, physical as well as legal. Sensitivity moderate. Again, why? Because you have now come back to state. Your building is practically complete. If you have reached this stage, obviously you are at the end of your project. So I would say sensitivity moderate. And reference webinar, we got serial number 9. I just want you to quickly take 5 minutes to show you how a demo of the website about which I talked so much, and आपको सबको बार-बार बोला कि there are not many things on the website, etc., and of course on YouTube channel. So I'll just say this is the homepage, www.redevelopment.info. I'll describe very briefly about the content, not everything. I don't have time for that. So on the homepage, you can see here that there are phase-wise journey. There are five phases identified, and then there is what's new and such announcement sections, right? Then there are notes on the homepage here. How to get the most of the website here, for example. Here on right hand side, you see a list of our webinars, right hand bottom here. And on top, you have the control tabs here. Okay. Got it. So you can see here, there are tabs here where for each tab you have a drop down. What is redevelopment, why redevelopment, different phases. Okay, information about that. Then structured approach, success, complexities of redevelopment, guideline 79A. Now, up to feasibility report, I told you the very important guidelines. A lot of people हमसे लेके यूज करते हैं. Structural audit, statutory requirement कैसे करते हैं, why structural audit, non-destructive testing, etc. And finally, in this help, you get help and contact us. What you can see here in the help, FAQs which are going to upload in about 10 days time. Summary notes have been distributed to people who are already on the group. For phase-wise summary groups we have distributed. Now they are also available on the website. It is summary notes for all phases, right? And that's how it is. Now this is the home page. Now if you want to go to a particular phase, which phase I don't know, where should I go? Let's say pre-construction. I scared you with this phase, no, so let us go there. So pre-construction phase, which I said is very complex and very extremely sensitive. This one. So here we are. Here we are. This is a pre-construction page. You can see here that this is highlighted pre-construction, and you on top you have got these tabs, the buttons, the control buttons. The roadmap you can see here, roadmap preparation, legal documentation. If you press, let's say legal documentation, you will find which are the steps which you have to. Which are the steps? These are the steps. There are steps. How many steps are there here? 21 steps for legal documentation. Now, what is the description of a step? By whom particulars, and whether it's a milestone, etc., which is here. Like that, milestones, records, guideposts, do's and don'ts. So this is the website. You can access this from anywhere and start using it for your own project. So now let me go back to see if there's anything to be shared with you. Yeah, I think that is just about all. Uma wants to share a few points with you. No, but before that, she wants to share a few points with you.
Yeah.
One step.
Yes, thank you very much. The one-liner of this webinar, according to me, is that we don't have control over the external factors which can possibly affect our project adversely. But what we can have control about is having a defined roadmap and structured approach. And where do we find this structured approach and step-by-step guide and roadmap? It's on our website, www.redevelopment.info. Now, before we start the technical question answer session, we will address some of the general queries and requests we have received. As you all know, and it was discussed some time back also, that guideline 79A stress upon the transparency part. And it is stated there that every society which goes for redevelopment should have its own website on which information will be given to the members. So we have got some queries about developing this such kind of websites. And yes, we have all the know-how to develop such websites for societies. So if there are any such requirements, societies can contact us and we at Technoesis will get the websites developed for them. Another query is about our online project tracker, which many people have found quite useful. As Mr. Dhargalkar stated some time back, after vacating the flat, the members are scattered anywhere and they have no clue what is happening at the construction site. But they surely want to know and they have a right to know about it. So what can be done is this project tracker which we have, even if you have your own PMC who may be working in his own way, but you can give us certain data on monthly basis and we can track the progress of your project, and we can give one login credential, username, password to the society, which society can share with the members, and the members sitting anywhere in the world can access and find out about their progress on monthly basis. They will have access to the progress reports, the various reports which were discussed some time back. So this is one thing that can be done. In addition to this, see, this project tracker is from construction stage onwards. It can track the project from construction phase onwards. But if anybody wants to know the progress right from the beginning, then also we can have that kind of arrangement. In that case, you can appoint us as a process monitoring consultant instead of project management consultant, and the entire process can be monitored on the basis of what is specified on our website. We have a full scale demo available of our project tracker on our corporate website, www.technoesis.co.in. You can visit it for more information. Next query was about consultation for a specific phase or specific issue that society is facing, or a peculiar situation of that particular society. Yes, we are open to this idea as well. And if there is any such query, again, society can contact us, but this will be a online consultation on whatever subject it is required.
So thank you very much for being with us. And we close this successful redevelopment webinar series today. Let's see what we can do together in future. Thank you very much.